Hello everyone, I am the one, the only, truest Lord Pancake. Accept no substitutes, for they are made out of styrofoam and taste awful. So, what are we going to be doing today with the truest Lord Pancake, you ask? Why, we're going to be playing a little game called Hard Reset. Yay! So, what is Hard Reset? What's it all about? What's the gist of it? So, basically, Hard Reset is a game that came out from Flying Wild Hog Studios originally back in 2011. They did like a few expansion packs and then re-released the game with the expansion packs already added in about 2012. And then they did a Redux release earlier last year where they did some graphical tweaks and also adjusted the play a little bit. So the basic gist of it is you are guy shooty face, I forget his name, it's really unimportant. You're basically kind of like a cop set in a, I don't know if it's a post-apocalyptic future or what, but there are lots of robots and they attack, and it's your job to blow up the robots and go through the story. The story is kind of goofy and weird and out there, so that's not really important. The big thing about it is the game's initial goal, what they claim is it brings the old type of shooters like your Dooms and your Serious Sams back into the modern genre and adds in a few things from modern gameplay, which is definitely a tall order to a gamer like me, because I'm one of those first, second generation gamers that actually remembers when Doom and Serious Sam were actually new IPs and we were blown away by them and played them over and over again and studied like every nuance about what made those games so great compared to some of the other clones that were coming out at the time that just weren't quite as good. So, basic gist of the game is you start with two weapons. You have your regular projectile-based weapon, like the rifle here. You have a energy-based weapon. Each one of these has 5 upgrades. Your projectile weapon has the rifle, the shotgun, the grenade launcher, a rocket RPG, and landmines that you can toss out. Your plasma gun has plasma, surprise surprise, a blaster which kind of fires out a little arc of lightning like that, your mortar which fires out an electrical mortar that has a secondary fire that has a stasis field that traps things in it, a railgun, and finally a smart gun that kind of tracks things and lets you see them through buildings and so forth. Great for taking out guys that are sniping you out, since it doesn't really have a sniper rifle in the game. So anyway, that's kind of how it is. You get each of these different type of modes to the 2 guns via the upgrade system by collecting things like that little orange thing I just picked up there called nanos. There's no regenerating health in the game. You do have a regenerating shield, and your bullets do somewhat regenerate. If it goes below 100, it will regenerate slowly back up to 100, but not beyond there. And here's an example of the combat. Woo! A huge thing that helps you out in this game is to actually have your weapons set up. And this is actually kind of one of the issues people have with this game, is you're given a lot of battles where you have enemies that come at you in areas where you don't have a lot of maneuverability, unlike what it used to be in like Serious Sam and Doom and so forth, where you had huge sprawling levels to go down. But they do kind of compensate with that, because rather than just rely on strict movement capability and firepower, you have to learn how to manage your crowd control capabilities as well. So you have to learn how to toss that in with everything else that you're doing. Give him a little taste of the railgun. There we go. And now you'll also have noticed in that battle, there's a lot of destructible things in the environment. And that kind of comes as a double-edged sword, too. Big thing with that is, yes, there are a lot of destructible things in the environment. Some of them do help with that crowd control, that arc of lightning that you'll see from... Do I have anything left to demonstrate with? Let's see. Oh yes, from like this. Does sometimes temporarily trap enemies in it, and that can be used for crowd control, but then it also explodes. The problem you run into is, if you're in this area, and you're too close to one of these, and an enemy shot takes that, you're going to end up taking damage from it as well. So it can definitely be used, end up working against you. So this is the upgrade terminal that I just stepped up to. It lets you upgrade either your 2 different firearms or some of your base stats and abilities, like being able to increase your max hit points, your damage resistance, that sort of thing. And then you have your CLN firearm, that's the basic projectile firearm with the RPG and so forth. Proximity mines. Yes, we will take that upgrade. So it gives you a good chance, good ability to do customization based off of your weapons. The areas aren't sprawling, but anyway, kind of got interrupted in the middle of my explanation there. What we're going to do is we're going to go through, we're going to play a little bit of it, let you see how the gameplay balances out between like the different type of weapon firing and how you manage the crowd control. And kind of let you see what the gameplay is like rather than just hear about it or have a few like disconnected screenshots. This is still early in the game before even the first boss encounter, so not going to give you any sort of spoilers or anything like that. Not that there really are spoilers for this game. You shoot robot, you find more areas to shoot more robots. That's basically the plot. They try and have a little bit more of a plot, but I'll be honest with you, the game's just a lot of fun to play. Fighting tons of enemies, things exploding everywhere. It's a blast. It's a whole lot of fun. And honestly, the plot could be that bastard over there stole my potato and would still be just as fun to play. There are some areas where it does like monster closets and so forth at you. Not a whole lot, thankfully. They keep that to really a minimum so you're not getting bombarded by cheap enemy attacks and so forth. Ooh, something down there for me. Yeah, like stuff like that happens a lot. You have enemies that will charge at you and explode and things like that. And that is one of the bigger complaints against this game is, again, you don't have a lot of maneuverability, but you're still dealing with waves of enemies. And that can make it a little bit more difficult to actually play like it used to. So if you try and play this like it's an old school shooter, you're going to end up having a really bad time because the physics of it just don't quite work like an old school shooter. If that makes sense. And that is the wrong weapon to have. And I'm going to die because I selected the wrong weapon, and this is one of the harder modes. Unless I can find health. Health, 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 health. Haha! I did it! See, like, you got those guys there, so you're going to want to switch to this. But you're also going to have these guys kind of trying to take you out, so you got to look out for them too. Okay, and I will fully admit I am kind of playing a little bit poorly here, so there's a lot of, like, maybe badness that you're seeing, but it's not the game being unfair at this point. It is me not playing well. Okay, so there's still some... Aha! So I still have one of those guys trying to kill me. Whew, okay. And then that right there was a really good example of how some of the complaints, but also how to deal with a lot of the complaints. Because yeah, that was kind of a compact area to have a charging enemy to face in, as well as be dealing with sniper fire from up above. But on the same note, with crowd control and proper use of the weapons, you can perfectly well deal with it. You don't really have to worry too much about it. But it is also going to depend on how you upgrade, because that upgrade terminal is also where you get the basic add-ons to your weapons from. You don't start out with everything. You have to slowly go through each and every upgrade. And I think that's going to trip up a lot of players if you maybe have heard about this game before and you were considering playing it and you're picking it up for the first time. Everything, if you were trying to play it like an old-time shooter, like I was saying, where you're looking for like the best firepower, best bang for your buck to get you through it, you are going to run into a problem of ignoring things like the crowd control systems and having that end up really screwing you pretty bad because you don't have the right type of weapons to deal with all the right situations, and it doesn't quite prepare you for that well. But I think that was a good enough preview. So overall, would I recommend this game? 100%. It looks good. You know, if you've seen, we'll take a minute to look at the visuals. I mean, it's not mind-blowing. It's not going to change your world. But for a 2011 game, it looks really good. It's functional. Nothing, nothing looks glaringly bad about it. Doesn't look like it's a decade old or anything like that. Sound-wise, I mean, sound gets a little bit, but it works too. I mean, the music does what it's supposed to do, so definitely there's that. Two biggest drawbacks to it, I'd say, are one, you do fight in a lot of areas. The final areas of the original game are going to look like this. With the with the versions that's on Steam right now of the regular one, it does include the original expansion pack, and they give you a little bit different areas, but for the most part they change from gray ground to brown ground and remove the neon. But it's a lot of the very similar areas, and also the enemy types are almost all going to be the same throughout as you go. It's just going to be like reskins of the same type enemies. I mean, they're going to have a little bit different abilities, going to be a little bit fiercer, might use slightly different tactics, but it's really just the same reskinned enemies you're going to run into time and time again. But other than that, I mean, honestly, you're having so much fun running around blowing up robots, you don't really even notice. It's a whole hell of a lot of fun, and honestly, if the enemy layout with the small areas like you saw me demonstrate over there a minute ago feels like it's not going to be something you would enjoy, you do have the option for the Redux version, which I do not have, so I can't give an honest review on it. But that one, according to some reviewers, has taken the time to deal with those complaints and adjust the gameplay accordingly. So that could always be something that you could look into. There is a demo of it on Steam. So, even if it's piqued your interest a little bit, go download the demo, give it a shot, see what you think of it. Well, that's all I have to say for that. So,